Hey everyone, I'm back again with the live session, and we have a very special guest with us. We have Anamika Singh, who is a Nikon expertive and a baby photographer, and she will give us all the expert guidance on baby photography, maternity photo shoots, and etc. etc. And for those who have missed the earlier live session, do check out our YouTube. You can get all the knowledge out there. So we are planning for more live sessions ahead so that you stay up to date with all the knowledge of what our photographers have to share. So I'll be just adding our guest. So welcome to the live session, ma'am. It's a pleasure that you joined us for this session. I know you have a hectic schedule and all, but still you managed to give us a little time of yours. You can just tell us how you started photography.
Okay. So photography happened to me. I didn't choose it on purpose. I'm a chemical engineer by qualification, and I've been working in corporate for like good 11, 12 years. When I discovered my love for photography, I picked it up as a hobby, and slowly I got totally engrossed. I fell in love with this art form, and yeah, after practicing is out of my corporate job for a couple of years, I took a sabbatical and I quit my job because I thought that photography was my true calling. So I pursued that. So it's been a good 11 years in photography as well. So my journey spans across almost 2 decades of work. I studied to be an engineer. I worked in big corporates in different profiles, and I discovered my love for photography. And somehow I felt that this was my true calling. So I took a sabbatical from work, formed up my business, and then I quit my corporate job. And rest is there was no looking back after that. So I've been practicing photography for 11 years now, and I don't regret a bit about leaving my corporate job behind.
That's amazing. I mean, 11 years into photography, and you took a complete shift from your career in civil engineering, right? So why specifically baby photography? I mean,
I started my career as a wedding photographer, and baby photography was a natural progression. When I had my own baby, I started taking pictures of him and posting on social media. So people really liked and appreciated. So as a wedding photographer, we all have those filler moments where we go out and shoot baby, maternity, families, and all. So somehow I found that this baby photography is my happy place, and yeah, so that is why I chose baby photography. I do other things as well. I do portraits, I do lifestyle, but baby photography or child photography, as I like to call it, remains my most favorite genre that I do.
that's really nice. We would just love to see about of your son as well. I mean, if you've got a lot of appreciation, I'm sure it is very amazing. I mean, that's when you started, right? 11. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. 11 years back.
Yeah.
So now, since we're delving deep into baby photography, just wanted to know, when you photograph newborns, what is your favorite technique to get them to settle and sleep? Because we all know that babies are a little bit fussy when it comes to photography, right?
Yeah. So, for newborn specifically, if you ask me, then the most important thing is that they should sleep through the session. If the newborns are asleep, you can manage the session in a breeze like 1 hour or 2 hours. But if they have decided not to sleep, then it can stretch up to for 3, 4 hours in on an average. So sometimes I've spent like 6 hours in a shoot and not even got 10 good unique pictures of baby. So newborn sleeping is a very very important thing in newborn session. Second thing is that it should be done at a very young age, when they are like ideally 2 to 3 weeks old. Once they cross that milestone, then it becomes a little difficult because their hand and feet, they start opening up, and it's possible for us to hold them in the pose. So age of the baby and uh, activity, sleeping pattern is very important.
That's true. So there's one point for all the budding photographers out there. It's very important to remember. So I'll repeat it once again. So 2 to 3 weeks of the baby is what is the ideal time for photography, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So internationally, they should start shooting after 7 days, but in India, because of our cultural issues, we are not so open about handling such. Photographers can handle, but it's like for a parent's mindset. They do not expose the baby to outside people and outside places at very young. But anywhere between 7 to 21 days, like 1 week to third week, is great.
Okay, that's a very important point. But still, let's say if you get a kid or a baby who is beyond that age group, so how do you bring him to settle down, and what is that one trick that if you want to share, maybe?
Yeah, we do get a lot of times, like babies as old as 1 week, 1.5, 1 month, or the 6 weeks. It's very common. They come in the studio, or we go over to their place. I go to shoot them. So that age group is very thing. So for them also to settle the baby should be relaxed so that they settle well in the session. They have to sleep. Once the baby is rested and sleeping, then those newborn cuddly poses can also be managed at that age.
That's very important, actually. That's something which all the photographers who want to, go into maternity or baby photo shoot should note down. So one more thing, since we are discussing all those things, you also get the, babies who are 1 year old, even 1 year old. So what do you think are the do's and don'ts that make or break a, baby photography session? Maybe these are the do's or don'ts that you can, let us know, or yeah.
So I work with babies across all age, like a newborn session. Typically after 1 month old, we call it like a baby. And beyond this stage, when they start sitting up, it's called a sitter session. And beyond then, when they start walking, or maybe 1 year of age, their toddler phase starts. So I work with babies across from the newborn to actually tween, when they are 10 or 12 years old. And for all of my sessions, me as a photographer, or maybe all the people who are well versed in how this child photography works, the most important thing is to not push their limits. Let them be. Though we have we have their own ideas, and beforehand we have this mental thing that okay, we are going to take these kind of pictures, but the child doesn't settle in those particular setups, or in certain poses. They are not able to pose well with the parents. So parents get worked up because they have this idea that we are going to get this picture perfect thing. So, but it is more important to get pictures of happy kids, happy babies, rather than forcing them into a pose. So I let them be. In my sessions, I try to befriend them, and I try to make them as comfortable as possible, like as a friend talking to a friend. Chalo, we are going to have fun and doing things. And in between moments, I try to capture where I get to bring out the personality of the child more than settling on being fixated on a certain pose or a pattern in which you want to be shot. So letting them be comfortable in their own skin is very important.
Correct. So that's what. So my main takeaway here is, like, we should not force a kid into doing a particular pose if he is not comfortable, right?
Not at all. Not at all. And every pose and every prop does not work for everyone. Like there is no one size fit all is not applicable in photography. Everybody responds differently to different stimulus. So it should be left to the child personality. So that is the photographer's job. At the beginning of the session, we try to assess that what all I can try with this child and what all I cannot. So in a little bit with experience, we tend to get a hang of it, that what is possible to be done today in our particular session.
Okay, that's really amazing. I mean, getting to know the baby or the child, and understanding. I really like this thing that you mentioned. It's not one size fits all, right? It depends on the baby and the temperament of the baby as well.
Exactly.
Sometimes
1 year of age is a very active age when they just start walking, and they'll be all over the place. So you make a very fancy setup, and you have this idea that okay, I'm going to make great pictures in this, but the baby decides to sit only in the non fancy part of the house. Then you have the whole around. You have to be very quick and responsive to how the baby is responding and try to get. So it's a challenge with every baby, but yeah, it's a lot of fun also.
That's really nice. So yeah, that's one more point that I mean all the photographers should note down who wants to delve into baby photography, maternity photography. It's very important that the baby has to be comfortable more than the setup, more than the props. I mean, first thing is I think the baby as a child has to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you mentioned about props, right? So, what are your, go-to props that you use for your baby shoots?
My personal style is very minimal. I don't want to go overboard with props because I feel that reflecting the personality of the person I'm photographing is more important rather than what I'm placing around them. So I try to keep the props at the minimal. I do use a newborn shoot, but for other older babies and for lifestyle sessions or maternity sessions, I rarely use
Yeah.
props.
So we'll move on to the next question. So, what is it like to shoot the newborn, especially during the pandemic? I understand there were a lot of restrictions and all, right? So, how was it during the pandemic? I mean, the pandemic is still going on. So, yeah.
So in the pandemic, I did very few newborn to be very honest, and I did a very few maternity as well. The only people who were comfortable shooting and are still is are the people, are the kids in uh, the pregnant moms and the 1 year olds where it's a milestone for them to celebrate. So I did newborn, but then the sanitization and the entire process, the due diligence that we do for all the shoot had to be like really beefed up. Uh, we had to make sure that each and every equipment, each and every uh, even if it was a headband or a thing, it has to be doubly. We have to be doubly sure that it is sanitized and everything is here. So yeah, it was a challenging phase, but we managed. We sailed through somehow.
That's great to know. I mean, yeah, of course, we have to follow all the protocols. I mean, even now, I'm sure we are all using the protocol, not given up on mask, sanitizer, the usual protocols. Okay. Like, can you share some interesting story or request, in by clients related to baby photography?
Okay. So baby photography, first of all, every single client wants happy pictures of the baby, irrespective of whether baby is crying or not. So they usually, especially it happens during cake smash sessions, that every child reacts very differently to cake. Some of them they have touched that sticky surface, that cake for the first time. So they have this. Impulses that they are not either they are happy or like they are very repulsed by the fact, so they start crying and all. So in that, managing a happy picture, smiling picture of the baby is very challenging, but so those are the usual requests that koi hasti hui photo nahi hai kya. And then sometimes we have to mask pictures to make a happy family picture, but then that's a part of the job. Secondly, client usually asks, if we shoot in the studio, can you change the background to make it look like it's sitting on the beach? So these are the few usual things that we, as photographers, we get to hear all the time. And then
Okay.
the third variety is who want to go very overboard with props. So they want
Oh.
fancy setups that if it is for example, a unicorn setup, then it should look like a birthday party in a five-star hotel. It should the setup should be so grand. Usually, so
Oh my
yeah.
God. I mean, it's a lot, right? I understand. No, it can't be
So
a party setup. Mm.
that is where, as photographer, we have to draw the line that we are artists, we are photographers, we are not event planners, because there is no
Correct.
limit to how much props you can use in a certain shoot. So upright, we have to be very upfront about it, that this is the limitation, that this not a limitation, but yeah, photo shoots are very different from a party setup. So you cannot pull that off even if you have the most fanciest of the studio.
Correct. So this is one more thing. So whichever clients are there with a lot of props and all, please keep in mind we have to also see the temperament of the baby, your comfort level, and then take a decision and take a stand. Okay. So enough about work. So like let's say when you're not working, how do you spend your days?
Okay, when I'm not working, I like to spend time with my son. We do a lot of activities together. I take him to hobby classes and all that. And also, when I'm not working on client pictures, I'm mostly working on my personal photos. So
Oh,
it always comes back to me sitting in front of my screen and working on it. So that's been my life for many, many years, and I've kind of liked that. Like even when I have an idle time, I'll probably sit and read up something new or work on some photos, do some personal projects.
okay, that's nice. So there's a saying it's a when you love your job is no more a work. It's like fun only for you. It's like
Exactly.
more like that. Yeah. So we got that, and so one more thing is of course I know you are busy. You have to maintain schedules and all. So how do you maintain the work life balance? Because I understand. Do you travel for photo shoots like other places?
I don't travel very extensively, but yeah, I do travel. And when I come to think of work-life balance, being a photographer gives you the kind of flexibility it gives you to manage your work and your life is not this kind of flexibility not available in any other job. Like maybe other freelancing job, but yeah, being a photographer itself is a first step towards achieving a better work-life balance. If I compare it with my corporate job, then I couldn't be happier with the kind of amount of time that I get with my thing, because I can schedule my shoots at my own discretion. I can
Yeah.
maybe accept shoots or I can decline shoots. I can fix up my appointments. So according to when I want to do that, the volume of the work, also how much I take, I can decide on my own. So it gives you the control in your own hand, of course, at the cost of how much your target is in your head and how much you want to achieve. But yeah, it gives you a fair amount of work-life balance.
That's good to know. I mean, it's really great that I always personally believe that we should always have a work-life balance in our life. So, and if photography is giving you that, you're enjoying your passion also. I think this is the best combo ever, isn't it? Okay. So like now, since we are talking all about work, and also your work-life balance, can you tell me one of your most challenging shoots ever? Maybe some story. Yeah.
I many shoots are challenging, but I have this particular shoot which I always cherish. So there was when I was doing wedding photography a few years ago. Um, uh, bride called me and she was persistent that we want you particularly for the shoot, but the so and so I have my it's a very small wedding, so I don't have the budget uh, to pay you, because by the time I was like little established, so I had my everybody has the starting packages, so I said I cannot even afford your starting package, but I want you only to shoot because I've seen your work with somebody. You have done this work for acquaintance of mine, and I think only you can do justice. So though I was like really inside my heart stoked, but then we always have this apprehension whether it is worth taking up or not. So
Correct.
initially I declined. I said, no, I don't shoot weddings of this scale or maybe event of this size probably and in this budget. But then she was persistent that my mother is also very keen on having you on board and we want you and nobody else. I suggested I'll send a team member to shoot it, but she told me that she wants me only to be there. So
Okay.
initially I declined, and but somewhere in my heart, I thought that maybe I should go and shoot. So I went ahead and I shot that wedding, and that wedding it took place in their living room. It was
Okay.
hardly 10 people were there in the wedding, and
Okay.
the mother was very sick, so she was kind of bedridden. But I didn't know that what was the situation, and their place. So I went, I worked like a professional. I shot the pictures, did all my work, and then I left. Next day, she sends me a message that Anamika, thank you for everything. Thank you for making our day so memorable and for accommodating our request. Mom passed away last night. And I was like shocked. Then later I came to know that her mom was terminally ill. She had cancer, and that was her last desire to see her daughter getting married. So that really shook me up, and in a way, I was quite happy that I could make somebody special. This was a it must be very, very special for them to
Hmm.
have the last memory of their mother being happy, enjoying the wedding, and all that. So I could make a difference in that life. So this experience has stayed with me, and I feel very blessed that I could come across such an experience in my journey.
That's such a noble thing, ma'am. I mean, I think that meant a lot to the girl. I'm sure you made a real difference.
We are
So
still friends. She even came back to me for portrait shoot after many years, and she refers me to a lot of clients. So I really feel blessed that I could, and I feel proud for my taking that decision. That despite all odds, I went ahead and did her shoot.
that's a very inspiring and a noble story of yours, ma'am. Actually, I think it's an inspiration for everyone out there. Sometimes we have to take the decision. I mean, at last you just listen to your heart. So you went ahead with that. Sometimes humanity also is important in this
Yeah,
regard.
and see, photography as a profession, it is a lot of people do out of passion. It is not very hardcore business for uh, uh, many of us. So
Correct.
if we have this extra ability to help others, make a difference in other people's life, I would suggest everybody to go ahead and do that little deed of the day by making someone happy.
That's very noble, ma'am. It's not only, it's noble. It's actually, I think everyone, not only photography, in everyone's profession, I think we should always make it a motto to make someone's day at least.
Yeah.
Every day we should try that. So, yeah, that's inspiring, ma'am. So we are almost to the end of the session, and we have just one two questions more. And if anyone has any questions for Anamika Singh, do put up in the comment section. And meanwhile, we'll be taking up this question, ma'am. So I just wanted to know. So, do you have any tip for the budding photographers out there, especially in the field of baby photography, maternity photography?
So, people who want to take up baby photography, I would say that other genres of photography you can still manage. You can Google, you can learn over YouTube, but newborn photography specifically needs some skills. So, please go through a formal education, do a workshop with any certified and established mentor. Like I personally had undergone workshops with American and Australian photographers who are like leading photographers, and that was a total game changer for me. So I would recommend those kind of workshops for everybody who wants to make it like a serious, who want to venture into newborn photography and are really serious about it. Secondly, it is very prop intensive. Yes, if you want to take up newborn or baby photography, because you need some amount of uh, thing when we do wedding or pre-wedding photography, you don't need to focus so much on props or clothes or things like that. But for baby photography, for developing a personal style, you need to invest like that. So try to develop a style of your own, because market currently is saturated with baby photographers or maternity or anything, even for that matter wedding photographers. It's a saturated market. So unless you develop a style of your own which will make you stand out, it is very difficult to thrive. So develop a style and then pursue that, rather than copying somebody else's work. Getting inspiration is different, but always make an attempt that people should identify your picture as your own. So these things are my go-to tips for any budding photographer, and I'm sure it will help somebody follow these.
Yes, ma'am. So that's a really great thing. I mean, formal education is definitely important, and also developing your own style. I think that's the most important thing right now. So that's here we have the. So these are all the questions that we have for today, and we just are just searching if anyone has asked any question or not. So we have a good comment about you, ma'am. I wanted to read it out because it's so inspiring. It's from World of Avidan. Anamika is the best photographer I have come across. She did it for my daughter, and very soon when we travel would be for my son too. Highly recommended for all.
Thank you so much, Avidan. It will be a pleasure seeing you guys again.
That's for Avidan, and so yeah. So Avantika is telling that Anamika is one of the best in maternity and baby care. That's of course no doubt in that. So, okay. So, I think these are the more of comments rather than question. So, I just wanted to know. Yes,
I
ma'am.
saw
Yes, ma'am.
one comment by Avantika herself there that she wants tips on how to do lighting for home shoot. So Avantika and everybody else there who wants to uh, really make a difference to your home shoot, the key is to shoot near the source, the light source, like your window. If you can see, I'm also sitting very close to the window. One side of my face is lit up. So shooting close to your home, the light source is very important for getting good quality photos. And if you do not get ample of good natural light, then invest in a good ring light, which will give a very uniform light for all your photos and videos for social media. So there are some brands you can DM me. I can send you the brand name, which I really recommend. And so yeah, the light source is very important, and the time of the day. If you want to shoot outdoors, even if you are shooting at home, then early morning and late evenings are great times to shoot with the diffused light. So the time of the day and the position of the light sources
Oh.
really impacts your output.
So I'll also follow this point. From next time, I'll try sitting near the window. That's why I can see the difference here, right? So this is a good point, which I'll also follow personally. So, ma'am, last question for you for the day. I know you're busy and all, but just one last question. Like, can you let us know how was your journey in Canberra till date?
Oh, yeah. So Canva has been my go-to vendor for all my printing from the very first year I started photography. I remember like I told you, I started with wedding photography. So the first wedding sample book that I printed from the wedding I shot was from Canberra. I called the Canva representative. I Googled and found his number. So that time I didn't have a proper Facebook page also, but he went the extra mile. He understood my requirements. He saw my work. On the basis of seeing the photos, he agreed to kind of print a sample book for me, and that has been really helpful in pitching to my clients. And till date, all my printing, all the major printing for my weddings and the premium collections that I shoot, it all Canva books. Trust me, this is the best printing that you can ever get. This, at least in India, Canva are the market leaders, and I swear by the quality. And even in my studio, I have put a lot of prints and stretched canvas from Canva, so I swear by that quality as well. So keep up the good work, guys. You're doing a fabulous job.
That's so amazing, ma'am. It's so nice to hear from you. Like, and I mean, you've been with us for a long time. Then, I mean,
As long as I'm into photography, I'm with Canva.
oh, that means a lot, ma'am. Thank you. Definitely, you made our day today for Canberra. So, okay, ma'am. Hence, we are concluding this session, and do let me know what you want to share, ma'am. Anything, any thoughts? Concluding thoughts, maybe.
It was really nice for you to give me an opportunity to come and speak. It's always good to share tips and share your journey with you with others, and you never know where you leave that mark that somebody gets inspired and starts taking up their passion and following their calling like I did. So somebody who's into very amateur or hobbyist level of photography, please pick up your camera, shoot as much as you can, and if you think that this is your passion, dedicate your time and work at it. I'm sure you can be as successful as anybody else if you just persist.
That's really golden words, ma'am. I think we should all, and we were actually deeply inspired by this, whatever you have told us, and I'm sure there'll be more questions out there. So everyone, you can always follow Anamika Singh for inspiration, and of course, please develop your own style, definitely.
Yes.
And so those who have missed this live session, we'll be posting on YouTube again. I will shortly. So yeah, you can check out that. So thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful time, and yes, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining in.